Bizarre Brain Comics. I am Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Oh, I don't have anybody here yet. I'll see if we get anybody. Don't normally do these on Saturday afternoons, but holiday season, things are different. It's a little different. So, if you saw my if you saw my post, you know that this is about Tarzan comics. Now I've done, and if you've been around with me on my channel any length of time, you know I am a big Tarzan fan. And Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs is my favorite novel, and Edgar Rice Burroughs is my favorite author. With Robert E. Howard a close second. I like the pulpy stuff, pulpy adventure stuff. And oh, I forgot to take the cap off. There we go. So, oh, I got a couple people there. Hello. See if I can read these. These are awfully small. Oh, howdy. Hello. And so I said, yeah, Edgar Rice Burroughs is my favorite. And I've done episodes on Tarzan comics and the comic strip before. I think I did earlier this year. Did a live stream on about the Tarzan comic strips. I can't remember if that was a live stream or if that was just an episode. I think it was the live stream. But these are about the comic books, and of course, Tarzan was first published in 1912 in All Story magazine, and it wasn't very long before it moved over into the movies, and not too long after that, in the late 20s, then started in one of the very first adventure comic strips, by Hal Foster. And then when comic books first became a thing, the first ones were mostly reprint material. Oh, somebody else? No, just reprinting the comic strips, right? From the newspaper. That was I think in Sparkle, but there may have been others, and they just have 3 or 4 pages of reprinting stuff from the strips, and that's what comic books were initially, reprint material from the comic strips. Not just Tarzan, but the others too. But then they started running out of material. That's when they started doing original stuff. But Tarzan did not get his own title in the comic strips for quite some time, because it had all those Tarzan movies, most of them closely identified with Johnny Weissmuller. But there are a whole bunch of other actors who played Tarzan, and of course, a lot of, especially younger people today, more think of Tarzan from the Disney movies. Well, the 1960s Tarzan TV series starring Ron Ely was my introduction to the character of Tarzan. And yeah, because I didn't know about the movies, and it was several years before I ever got to see any of the old movies, the old movies. Um, got to see occasionally, very rarely, a couple of the at that time more recent movies, like from the earlier '60s, starring Mike Henry. But Ron Ely was the Tarzan that I liked best, and and of course, which got me into the comics, because I was already enjoying comics, and so I started getting to comic books, which led me into the novels, and Edgar Rice Burroughs. In fact, this isn't the copy, but this is the edition that I very first time I read the novel. That was a library book, and and that's the whole reason when I found this and for real cheap, it's in rough shape. That's the whole reason I bought this one, was just because, and it's got it's illustrated with art by Al Anderson and Jesse uh, Jesse Marsh. Now that brings us to Jesse Marsh, because in 1948, hi folks, it was Ben Dowdy, howdy Ben, and because in 1948, Dell Comics apparently got the license for Tarzan. Howdy Podna, yeah, yeah, and uh, so then Tarzan made his first appearance at Dell in what were the what were those issues? Says it right here. As Dell Four Color Comics number 134 in 1947, and then number 161 in August 1947. There's a lot of number differences there for just about 5 months. Anyway, and that prompted them to do a Tarzan, give Tarzan his own title, and these were primarily, see, those first two were written by what's his name, Robert P. Thompson. Those first three stories were, and everything after that is Gaylord Dubois, and this is the Dark Horse. Volume 1 of the Dark Horse Archives, reprinting those first, I think it was six comics featuring Tarzan from Dell Comics, 1947-48. And Jesse, here's, if you're not familiar, you'll see more of him. Of course, you see him on the cover here. Jesse Marsh was something else. I didn't go back and do research on it again. I was just drawing from memory from what I had done research before. He was a capable artist. It's very kind of old-fashioned looking, and but he could do some really, where's that good one, that nice one I saw, some nice, really nice stuff. Oh. And like these, he could do some really nice drawings, but quite often his stuff didn't live up to that. I gather that he had for years he had was a drinking problem, and he would procrastinate, spend most of his time drunk, and then cram, really rush to meet his deadline, and so he would have some good stuff, and then a lot of stuff that wasn't so good. But he was really good at doing the wildlife, and even when his figures fell down, he did some nice wildlife, and he was pretty good at drawing female figures as well. And here is volume 2 of the Jesse Marsh years from Dark Horse Archives, and those are the only two books that that I've got. You can see here, he could do some really nice stuff. He was very good at the wildlife and the scenery, even, and of course he got into dinosaurs. One of the major differences in the Tarzan in these comics from the books. Oh, we got more people. So hi folks. I got 4 of them on there, and he did some pretty nice female figures. He could do the backgrounds, but one of the big major differences was that they kind of mashed up stuff from both the novels and the movies. For example, of course, they had Tarzan and Jane, but it wasn't until the 60s that they had Korok, which is then it was Gold Key. they had Boy from the, as a like a 10-year-old boy from borrowed from the movies, and of course Boy started with in the Johnny Weissmuller era in the movies and stuff. And of course, it started off the first several issues or so were line drawings, and then they started doing photo covers like this one here. This is issue number 26 from 1951, and of course it has Lex Barker, because at that time Lex Barker had taken over the role from Johnny Weissmuller, and actually physically he made a better looking Tarzan than John Weissmuller did by that time, because Weissmuller was getting a little older and a little thicker, and uh, and that's when he jumped over to doing the Jungle Jim movies. And they're basically the same kind of stories. It's just that he had clothes on. It says the colors really pop on those reprints. Oh yes, it does. Yeah. And yes, I know it's backwards. Before I know it's backwards. And of course, and these were all done by uh, um, Jesse Marsh, and along in there had some people like Russ Manning and a few others doing some of the backup stories or part of the backup stories. I've seen some where, like Jane or something, had Russ Manning doing the art, imitating Jesse Marsh, and did a better job at in Jesse Marsh style than Jesse Marsh did. So like, here's another really nice drawing, and I sure have the feeling that he was working from photo reference for that. And you can see his elephants and stuff there. It's really nice. And the stories were they as I said, they mashed up the uh, the stuff from the movies and the books, and but they still drew primarily from the books. but uh, but in the novels they had all kinds of Tarzan was constantly coming across lost civilizations, lost worlds, and in the comic they kind of mushed them up all into one location, into Lost Land of Paulo Don, which was came from the novel Tarzan at the Tarzan the Terrible, Tarzan Jad Guru, and and then they built on that. Uh, all the other lost civilizations and stuff were in Paulo Don, including the land of the Ant Men and stuff. And eventually, and did some scientific stuff. I don't know how it came about. And he did some genetic engineering onto to on some eagles, and he wound up with two giant eagles. I can't remember their names. One is Aquila, and I can't remember the name of the other one. Who were who they would sometimes get rides from. So they were uh, 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 eagle riders, like in Lord of the Rings, because that's the size of the eagles that they had. Of course, an eagle couldn't that large couldn't fly, um, and they come in handy in as a plot device in many of the stories. The photo novels, photo covers. Another one of Lex Barker. It's about the same time. 54, 1954. And this is probably about the same time. 1950. This is probably the oldest one I've got. This is number 16. So this is pretty early on. And you want to see something else? I think this drawing is. I don't know who did. It's not Jesse Marsh. I don't know who did that drawing on the back cover. And that's a really nice drawing. Pen and ink drawing of a looks like a Maasai warrior. I don't know. And stuff like that. And this one is so rough it's falling apart. Number 36, another good photo cover. and as the chimp and a stuffed lion. Some of these photos seem were kind of staged. Another Lex Barker cover. And this, I don't know. I wish they had put the numbers on the outside on the cover. Because I don't want to dig into it. So they usually have one or two, one full length Tarzan story, then maybe a shorter Tarzan story, and a boy story, or a Jane story, or an original character, not directly associated with Tarzan, as a backup feature. Usually still done by Jesse Marsh or Russ Manning or whoever else. Then here's issue 55. They started with the wonderful painted covers. Now I've shown, I think, probably all of these I have out here for this a few times, or at least once on my regular episodes. But let's see the colors. Oh yeah, okay. Just look and see if there's any new stuff. Still only 3 people, but hey, I'm glad to have anybody really. oh, I forgot I was going to get some of my Tarzan toys, and I'm not going to get up and go get one now. And I forgot I was going to do it at the beginning, but I'll do it now. Oh! When I was a kid, I was known in the small farm town that I grew up in. Everybody knew my Tarzan yell because I yelled it all. But then my voice changed, and I couldn't do it anymore. It was many years later, after some practice, I was able to do it again. Because getting those high ones and that little quirk in there, that's from actually from at the high point, is from yodeling. Oh, here's a real cool one, and this one is issue 56 from 1954, and Mo Golub, I think, did most of these cover paintings. And these regular ones said, "Oh, good Tarzan." Yep. And before I continue with those, I was gonna show these at the beginning, as well as the regular monthly ones. They had, I think, very annuals. And stuff like this Tarzan's Jungle Annual. And they had cover paintings and they were usually just of wildlife. And then even here's, some nice cover painting. And I think they were primarily reprint material. May have had some new stuff in it as well. But that's an awful lot for Jesse Marsh to do, and he was the primary artist. And this is from what did I say? In 1953, Tarzan's Jungle Annual #2 from 1953. And that's the oldest one of those that I have. And this one is Tarzan's Jungle Annual number, from 1954, I think it was. There's 300 before. Good one with the kudu and the leopard. That looks like an awfully large leopard compared to that Aunt Bovid. And another one. This is number 6, Tarzan's Jungle Annual #6. This would have been a couple years later, probably 56 or 57. And again, a good one. And then the title kind of changed. Have the giant comic Tarzan's Jungle World, and this is from 1959. It's still permanent wildlife and a native. Get some comments in here. Because I feel like I'm doing one of my regular episodes when I'm not getting. I'm just talking. Oh, and then here's another one, giant. But this is after gold keyhead split from Dell, but it's the last of this kind that I've ever seen. Um, but where those other ones, those older ones from the 50s, had cardstock covers. This one just had a regular newsprint cover, and this is Tarzan, Lord of the Jungle, just featuring a drawing by Jesse Marsh. And that's from 1965. Okay, and then back to the regular stuff. What's that? Said I'd seen. Let's see. I'd seen the Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan flicks on TV when I was a kid. That's Ben Dowdy. Um, Never knew there were Tarzan comics. My dad used to buy us old reprints of Disney comics and Archie. Yeah. Oh yeah, Tarzan comics go way back. There's some beautiful stuff. And here's what issue is this one? This is issue number 60 from 1954, and another beautiful what I think is a Mo Golub cover, painted cover. It's really great. Now they seldom had much action on the cover. Well, some of them did, and then they kind of got away from it. Action, and there was more fun, more sedate scenes on the covers. And don't forget, there was also two different Tarzan radio shows. One in the 20s, I think. And I've got that on audio. A few episodes of that has a rough adaptation of Tarzan of the Apes. They're not very close to that. And another one is, I think, is written by a story from Burroughs himself that he later used, turned into, I think it was later, I'm not positive, but I think it was later, turned into the Tarzan and the Forbidden City. Is that it? I think that was it. Where they had diving suits and stuff. And then again, more nice Jesse Marsh stuff. He's far from my favorite Tarzan artist, of course. But then you see like did some beautiful stuff on the wildlife. And if you're familiar with it, you can clearly see it's his style. And then I said backups. So here is had backup of Brothers of the Spear, and that was usually done by Russ Manning. And this is early Russ Manning stuff. It's almost unrecognizable. It's very nice and clean lines and stuff that he was known for. But this is so early. But you can still, if you're real familiar with his artwork, you can still see it. But his style was developing. And this one is number 64. Another great Mo Golub cover. And if you're interested in the Tarzan movies, and of course, a lot of people think of Johnny Weissmuller as the first actor to play Tarzan, but he wasn't. That was just in that particular series. Other companies had at one time or another had some Tarzan rights, and the very first actor to play Tarzan was Elmo Lincoln from I think it was the 1918 silent movie of Tarzan of the Apes, and that was pretty good. Of course, that introduced Jane, and then there were some others. They even had movie serials, even in the silent era, and various other actors played. They even did a version of The Son of Tarzan featuring Korak, in which the lead actor playing Korak was killed in an accident and shooting one of the final scenes of the production, and he was accidentally killed by an elephant that was supposed to be saving him, and so they had to do some retouching or with that rewriting to have the very last scene was that had Korak from behind because they had a different actor for him, and by then he was close because that was a scene in the concluding scene when Tarzan got there. The elephant was saving Korak, and then Tarzan had basically saved Korak from the elephant because the elephant was protecting him, but he was still tied up. But in the production, he was killed. I can't remember his name, and that's real unfortunate. And of course, Johnny Weissmuller, Buster Crabbe played Tarzan in a movie serial before or about the same time as the Johnny Weissmuller stuff, and another fellow whose name I suddenly can't remember. He just passed away a couple years ago, and he was also an Olympic swimmer, but he was from Fort Collins here in Colorado, and he played Tarzan too, but they didn't have Jane. They had a different character, and her name was Mary. and of course Johnny Weissmuller, and then Lex Barker, and then Gordon Scott took it after him. Then Jock Mahoney took the role after him, and football player Mike Henry did that after. Oh yeah, Buster Crabbe. Yeah, it was 1918. Yeah, Jock Mahoney, and then Mike Henry played him in 3 movies. The funny thing was about the Jock Mahoney is he first played Tarzan in is it the Tarzan's Indian Adventure, and but he was also in the previous Tarzan movie, Tarzan the Magnificent, which starred Gordon Scott, and Jock Mahoney played the villain in that movie, and then he played Tarzan in the next one, and then after Mike Henry, they had the '60s TV series, and Mike Henry was supposed to be a star in that, but he suffered an injury from the chimpanzee playing Cheetah, and he was replaced by Ron Ely, who had been cast to play an imitation Tarzan in as yet unfilmed episode, and so he was cast, and they never did shoot that episode, but he was cast in the role, and but then they brought back Jock Mahoney as a villain in there. So that kind of became a tradition, because then in a later version from the 1990s version of Tarzan, it was just a half-hour episode, Ron Ely came back as a villain in that series, and that was fun. Of course, then after most actors then only did once. One of the most memorable and one of the best Tarzan movies ever, in my opinion. Even though the second half was not was not adapted from the novel, was Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, Lord of the Apes, starring Christopher Lambert, and that was really good. Great ape costumes and makeup. Oh, that was so good. And here we have number 67. See here, this is what I meant by going for more sedate covers. Aliad Longevity. I don't know what that is. Oh, it's got 7 people on there now. Get some more comments here, because we're getting close to a half hour, and I still got bunches, so I'm talking too much. Whoops, I put that in the wrong pile. Yeah, that's one. And number 72. Oh, great cover painting. Oh, misspelled. Elia, I misspelled. And this is, I don't, number 73. And you can see what I mean by the more sedate covers, less action-oriented covers. Beautiful painting, so. And that reminds me, I wanted to show you something. Was it? I think it was in this one. No, that's volume 2. That was in volume 2. That's not it. That's not it. Of course not. But it had earlier on had different artists rather than Jesse Marsh doing the cover on the line drawings. Some beautiful, beautiful stuff. And I think that may have been Mo Golub. Of course, I'm not gonna. Oh, this is the one. I just love this one. This cover, and of course it doesn't say who it is, but this is one I think was Mo Golub doing the line drawing, and this cover here was then used as the cover illustration for a big set of the Tarzan radio show from the 1950s, and so I have that had something like 30, maybe 30 episodes, and I like that so, and that was a good series, and I recommend it, and it may well be available on YouTube. A lot of old time radio is. Then here we have number 74. Great cover paintings. Said where the cover changed from. Oh, number 3. Where the cover changed from action oriented to sedate because of the publisher's fear of children being impressionable. That's what I was thinking. It's Dell, so more for kids and everything. So, but most kids, they react more to the action oriented. And here's another one that I really like. This is number 75. This is another cover painting I really like. Feeding the chimps. And number 76. This one is possibly, potential action oriented here with the crocodile, but you don't know. He might be saying, "Get out, go, shoot," kind of thing. Gimla. And here we have number 79. Those great cover paintings. And I have scads of Tarzan comics, not as many as I would have liked, of course, but I have a bunch, of course, of these Dell. I have a lot from the Gold Key era, and then DC. DC was my favorite period, though, because it's Joe Kubert. He did the best version of Tarzan in the comic books, and he's my favorite Tarzan artist. Number 80. Now here we're back to photo covers with Gordon Scott. Said the art is good, but kids would probably gravitate toward the action. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And of course, in the comic, he didn't look anything like Gordon Scott, but it doesn't matter. Or even Lex Barker. But he probably looked a little more like Lex Barker. Definitely did not look like Johnny Weissmuller. See, and all these are pretty rough because I give them cheap. But most of them are pretty readable. Some of them are falling apart. Then here's doesn't give the doesn't. Oh, I don't want to have to dig into it. But this would have been 80 something. Photo cover again. Gordon Scott. I like and it was during the Gordon Scott era when they finally stopped doing the Me Tarzan You Jane stuff. He started out that way doing those, and they had all been shot, in Hollywood or in Florida or wherever they shot them. But Gordon Scott's Tarzan and the Lost Safari was the first one where they shot on location in Africa, probably Kenya. Prisoners of Castromere. This is number 106. More Gordon Scott. And after that was the last one where he had the stilted language, and it had the rights changed from one production company to another, and they got rid of that, and they also got rid of Jane, and Gordon Scott spoke normally, and he was intelligent, and that was good, and even had one the movies Tarzan, not the Magnificent. Oh, Tarzan's Greatest Adventure had Sean Connery in it, and those were all shot on location. It had Sean Connery in it as one of the villains, and he's killed. Even when it was on TV, they used it as a or advertising deal. Um, James Bond killed by by Tarzan because he killed Sean Connery in that movie. And and then here's yet another one of featuring Gordon Scott. He was a nice looking fella, and he was broad shoulders, deep chest. And then after that, Tarzan spoke normally. And then this is the last one of the ones that I got out. I've got a bunch more, but we're getting a little late. Tarzan saves the proud princess from enemy raiders. Tarzan 119. And this is real rough because the cover's detached. So this is a little later, and they have his Tarzan actually looks different, and the cover paintings reflected uh, something from the story inside. And that's what they did after that. And then, of course, during the Gold Key era, George Wilson was the primary cover artist, and I love George Wilson stuff. Of course, he did so much. Did the Tarzan, and then in '72, and they lost Gold Key lost the license, and it moved over to DC. They lost, of course, when they lost that license, they lost two titles because they had Tarzan of the Apes and Korak, Son of Tarzan, and so that's when they get Gold Key did gave Brothers of the Spear, which up to that point had just been backup in Tarzan and or Korak, and gave them their own title, and then created another title, which I've shown on my regular stuff before too, of the Jungle Twins, and I love the Jungle Twins. That was also done by the same artist, Paul Norris, who had been doing the art on the Tarzan at the time, and I think I've never seen or heard anything about it, but I think the idea of the Tarzan twins, I mean, of the Jungle Twins, was inspired by the Tarzan twins, which was Edgar Rice Burroughs' book. And this is the last one I got out, and I'm not going to go dig into for anymore. I'd have to go away for a couple minutes. And I never had too many, but I mostly had four all this time. Since Sean Connery, I gotta find that one. Yeah, that's Tarzan's Greatest Adventure. Yeah, that's one. And tell you, I did that Tarzan yell earlier, and everyone knows the one from Johnny Weissmuller. But towards I think it was towards the end of they re-recorded it into that run and into the Lex Barker era, and I think I read that Johnny Weissmuller said, I can do that. And he did it, and they recorded it, and they used that up until Mike Henry took the role. And it was the same yell, just a different voice. Because when they originally concocted the Tarzan yell, oh, that was they snipped together um, different different pieces of bits of audio. One was like a yodeler and a hog caller and an opera singer or something like that. And then after that, it was Johnny Weissmuller's voice, or one voice, whoever it was that they recorded, whether it was Weissmuller or not, I don't know. And sometimes I hear towards the end on these live streams, I show a little bit of artwork. I don't have any Tarzan artwork here, but something I haven't finished. I'll just little comic pages that for a little story. This is domestication. I started in 23, so and it's about squirrels. It's about the squirrels in our trees in our yard. I don't know if you can make it out very well or not here, but cute little squirrels. I never finished it, but I'd like to. And then just some other this old stuff. I was working on it's been over a year since I've worked on a Renaissance Festival coloring book, and I don't know where those drawings are. But this is old. I don't have a date on here. Oh yeah, '07. So it tells you Western. It's mostly Western stuff. Western drawings, good drawings. And then here, this is from a photograph of Buffalo Bill, and that I did. This was in '09, and then I took a good quality Xerox of that and put a watercolor on it to see how that would come out, how it would look in color. Oh, pretty decent. And I'm not going to show that. And then this one here. This is actually a Xerox. I don't know where the original drawing is. I know where the original drawing is. I gave it to her. This is a drawing from. This is a friend, a drawing of a friend from our barbarian group, the Feral Horde. And this is Karen, from a photograph that I took. And this is a pencil drawing, again a Xerox copy that this lady hired me to draw. It's then here's one, and it's not a Xerox copy. I did from a photograph of myself. All this Renaissance-y stuff. And then Kirk Douglas from Spartacus. That was a good movie. And he had the physique, man. He looked so good in that. And not too long ago, I watched him in the movie Ulysses. He was good in that. That's from the Odyssey. And then one last Western drawing. This is from '09. And that about does it for me, I guess, this time around. And I want to thank everybody who joined me today, because I wasn't sure if I'd have too many, who I'd have. But thank you all for joining me. So we'll finish it up with, remember, comics are art. Oh. Okay, bye now.